But at what point in time do we hold each other accountable? Because why is there some people that make it out of the hood that do—
All right, here's the thing. You don't hold nobody accountable until you start sitting down with some fatherless black children and teaching them their BCs. How about that?
And we get mad when other people don't really want to be around a whole bunch of black people.
This nigga is so us, bro. What is this take? This is a guy who means well. And I can acknowledge, I used to be like this guy. It's embarrassing to say, but he simply just isn't educated.
One of my favorite classes back in high school was the debate class. Now, I mean, I just loved how it could be two people having differences. It didn't have to be an argument. It was just a pure, healthy, back and forth debate. So a creator by the name of Young Don, he has a lot of subscribers. I've seen him a lot on YouTube before. I'll definitely give that brother his credit and what he has done in his space. So I seen that he reacted to my video, and initially I was like, oh, I'm getting recognized by content creators and everything. That's pretty dope, and I still feel like that. I still appreciate that. So today we're gonna react to his video. This video is gonna be a lot different from how I usually do my content. And I saw the brother had a lot of crazy things to say about your boy, calling me an Uncle Tom and things of that nature. So we're gonna handle this like men, and have a great conversation. We're gonna have a good discussion, and we're gonna treat this like a debate. All right. So without further ado, let's get into this.
All right, let's see what they got going on over here.
The Bonnet Crew walk in, loud, obnoxious, the kids are everywhere.
Black fatigue. This video might make you uncomfortable, but it needs to be made.
Black fatigue is real. I think society as a whole is there.
There go Anton Daniels.
See, you got black people and then you got niggas.
I don't like this at all. Fuck this. I'm both. I'm niggas.
Okay, all right. I'm both. I could be both sometimes too. It's a big difference, and most black people, we know the difference. It ain't even a conversation we have all had. It ain't like a meeting.
Yeah, the difference is called education and being born into a different environment. That's the difference. That's where it begins and ends. There is no other difference.
Sometimes you just gotta let the video just play out. To have a real good understanding, you need context. Yeah, allow me to explain what I'm talking about, because when I said there's niggas and there's black people know the difference. And it's not education, because there's educated black people. If we're talking about education as in college degrees, there's people with college degrees that still try to live out a loud type of lifestyle. Now, there's people that are well educated that don't act with class. So it's not education. It is what the understanding is to be a part of the black culture. And again, I don't want to sit here and make it seem like this is just black culture altogether. That's one thing I didn't get to say in my video. I'm speaking on a subset of black people. If you look at black people as a whole, there is a portion of black people that I feel like is the loudest. There's a portion of black people that I feel like gives us all a bad name, and those are the people that I am speaking on. Together and had together, like, hey man, all right, so it's the black folk and it's the niggas. We need to figure out how to get them niggas. All right, we need to get them up out of here.
No, bro. This is wrong.
We ain't even had that conversation. We just know it when we see it, because some of us are reformed niggas. See, black folks live a common life, job, kids, dog, we abide by the rules. But then you had the niggas, and that he's trying to break down my joke. That's where you get a lot of your ignorance from. The loudmouths, people that always want to play victim but don't want to fix their own circumstance. Black people are now getting online and they're talking about black fatigue because they are tired of the niggas.
Black fatigue is a thing. Newsflash. White people don't want to live around ratchet black people, and black people don't want to live around ratchet black people. It's nothing like going to the Walmart.
Yeah, and white people don't want to live around rednecks either. White people don't want to live around white people that would be described as poor white trash. It's not, it's the circumstances, it's the poverty and what that breeds. If you're a black person and you find yourself able to switch back and forth, you're one of those black people that can hang around niggas and be comfortable, and then hang around preppy black people and hang around white people and hang around all kinds of people, consider yourself fortunate that you weren't born to a single mother who was addicted to drugs, who didn't get past the fucking 6th grade because her mother was also in a dire situation. You're lucky.
Wait. Wait a minute. So you think, and I was reading his comments and somebody did say, because I didn't know too much about this guy's background, but somebody did say this, and I don't know if it's true or not, but if it's true, it makes sense. Somebody said that he grew up pretty privileged. I know I said pretty privileged, but I'm saying privileged, and his dad was a doctor or something like that. He grew up in a good side of town. The way he just described the black community as if like the crackhead mom that dropped out of 6th grade is like a common thing. What understanding do you have on the black culture that I'm speaking towards? Like, the people that I'm speaking towards are the people that you have no business acting how you act. It is in your control to act the way you act. When you're loud. Now, I mean, when like the Sukiana video that I saw, she went to some other country and she was in the street talking about something about get my coochie scratched, something crazy. And I seen people in the comments, they all for it. It's like, my video is speaking towards those people. It's not speaking about the people that's in the hood. I mean, it's not speaking people that's in less fortunate situations and they have to, go through treacherous situations in life. No, I'm talking about people just not being classy. I mean, people not knowing how to act. That has nothing to do with, your mom was a crackhead and she left the sixth grade. And bro, that's not what we're speaking towards. And that's not most people in the hood. Most people in the hood do not have crack-headed moms. Most people in the hood, their mom actually went through the 6th grade. That's not a popular thing within the hood. Like, and I know people that have not lived in the hood when I see it or when I hear it, because I have friends that lived in the hood and I too have lived somewhat in the hood when I, went to my dad's house on the weekends. And so I had friends of every walks of life. So it's not a popular thing that your mom is a crackhead because you're in the hood and she didn't go to the 2nd grade because she didn't have opportunity. That's not a popular thing, especially not today.
And a lot of these black people who talk like this are usually a lot of times the descendants of immigrants. Well, if you go back to your fucking immigrant country, you can find the equivalent, the same kinds of niggas that you look down upon. You can find their equivalent in your country. See, when you're an immigrant and you come to this country, the only reason the US government gave you a green card is because your parents or your ancestors, or maybe you're the immigrant, displayed that you had all these attributes. You had an education, you had a financial support system, you had family that you could rely upon, so you weren't going to come to the country and immediately become a burden. And so you're comparing yourself. What you really need to do is compare yourself or compare these poor Americans to the poor people from the country you're coming from.
On a Sunday morning.
Brother, man, who's talking about poor people? Who's talking about the poor folks? Bro, I'm talking about a subset of black people that think that being black has something to do with being ratchet. That has nothing to do with being poor. If anything, it's poor-minded, bro. You have people that are rich that are poor-minded. This has nothing to do with money. Nobody's talking about money. But carry on.
And then you see the Bonnet crew walk in. Loud, obnoxious, the kids are everywhere, in every aisle, unattended. And that's anywhere you go, no matter what. They're highly emotional, highly sensitive. You can't say nothing. You can't even smile and hold the door for them because they'll look at you like you're crazy. And
I don't know what the fuck you talking about.
Always the victim of something. Either you stepped on a shoe, you looked at them wrong, you told them good morning. They're never had.
What America are you living in? You know what I'm saying? I live in the Houston area, and it's a lot of black people, and it's a lot of black people that would be considered niggas in this area. And they some of the nicest people, bro. They're some of the nicest people. What they don't like, which is what nobody likes, is you can feel when somebody feels like they're better than you, bro. if you just treat them like people, and it's the same thing with white people, poor whites, rednecks, bro. Everybody just wants to be respected.
And you wonder why normal, good black people.
I think where the brother's getting confused is that there is a subset of black people that we're talking about, bro. Just because you see black people don't mean they fit the category of what we are complaining about or what we're annoyed of. There is a certain group of black people that we're speaking towards. So yes, in your Houston area, you're going to see black people that are nice. Just like I said in my video, in my neighborhood, I have great black people. I said this is not all black people, but there's a certain group of black people that I want to shine the light on. And he also brought up, and he's going to bring this up a couple times in this video, white people. All respect to white people, but this conversation is between black people talking to black people. All right. You do not improve by talking about the other group and saying that, well, they do it, so why is it a problem when we do it? The conference finals is about to start, and the Timberwolves and the Thunder are about to play. Imagine every time the coach brought the Timberwolves in the practice facility and say, listen, y'all, last game we did not rebound well. Look at our stats. If we rebound more, we can do a lot better. Imagine if every single time the coach told the players what they can do to improve, the coach was faced with a reaction like, well, coach, the other teams suck at rebound too. Coach, they suck at passing too. So what we got to improve for? They suck at it. Why are we talking about the other team if we're trying to improve? Nobody's talking about white people. This is about black people holding black people accountable. But instead, we rather point the finger and say, well, they're doing it too. Why are we talking about us? Because I want us to do good. What they do within their community is what they do within their community. I want us to do good. So I'm talking to us.
People move out of the hood as soon as they start getting successful.
Now, have I interacted with black people that have an attitude and are rude? Yeah, but guess what? I've interacted with people who are like that from every single race. I've had good and bad experiences with people from every single race, from every single background. And so we can't just isolate these people and pretend like they're all one way.
I was one of those black people.
Coach, why are we talking about the fact that we're bad at rebounds? I've seen other teams be bad at rebounds too. Translation.
That said, man, if I made some money, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to buy up this, buy up that. I'm going to support the community. As soon as I got my money, I got the fuck up out of there. Because they don't know how to appreciate good shit. And my suburban kids don't need to be dealing with that bullshit. Crab in a barrel mentality. Never take accountability for nothing. So yeah, black fatigue is a thing. And I'll tell you, a lot of people are fucking tired. They're tired of dealing with these kind of people on a daily basis. I get anxiety.
Again, no different than any other race. It's not about moving out of a black community. It's about moving into a higher income community. Why? Because if you drive a BMW and your neighbor drives a BMW, there's a good chance your neighbor isn't going to envy your BMW and try to steal it. But if you enrich yourself because by some way or another, you were put down a different path and you got a better education and you took advantage of opportunities and you had a more positive, empowered outlook on yourself and the world around you. And then you get a BMW and you take that BMW to the hood where the guy next door, he's incredibly disempowered. He doesn't have the education. He doesn't have the proper mindset. He believes the only way that he can get what you got is by taking it. That's what he believes. That's true. That's just how and whatever you believe to be true is true in your reality. That's how it works. So we cannot project. This is why an atheist, a Muslim, and a Christian will never agree. And an atheist, a Muslim, and a Christian all thinks the other person is fucking insane. Because in each person's respective reality, what they believe to be true is as true as 2 + 2 = 4. And so anybody who denies that is either lying, crazy, retarded, blind. There's no way they could be wrong, right? And so It's the same thing. You go to these people in the hood and you try to tell them, bro, all you got to do is go to school and study and da-da-da. They don't believe that.
When I walk inside of a mall nowadays,
Brother, all black people are not in the hood. I lived in Atlanta in a suburban neighborhood, 5 bedrooms, 2-car garage, 3.5 baths. These kids weren't in the hood, bro. But their understanding of what the black culture was to be loud and ghetto. That's what they thought it was. So this video, once again, is speaking towards those people that believe that. Now, that's not all black people. And I keep running away from the whole hood conversation because he's making it seem as if we're speaking to the hood. But we don't even have to speak. I mean, we could use the hood, but we don't even have to just speak to the hood. We could speak to just black people in general. And if we are going to speak about the hood, there's people in the hood that are very educated, that have an understanding on how to get out. So those other people that's in the hood with them have a choice, just like that person. And no, it doesn't take some white man to come to the hood and be like, hey, brother, here's the meal ticket to get out the hood. No, bro. I got a homie right now that didn't grow up with his dad. He grew up with just his mom. He grew up in the hood. He did not have a lot of male people to look up to. And he made something great out of himself. Hell, my dad was like that. My dad grew up in Coney Island and got his family way out of New York. Now he's living in a big house in Texas. Made it out for himself. So keep constantly using, your environment as something that's holding you back. I completely get it. But I'm here to tell you that even in your environment, you still have power. See, people that speaking how Young Don is speaking, they are relinquishing power from you guys. They're relinquishing power from people that's in the hood, saying those people have no choice. I'm here to tell you do have a choice. Open your eyes. Hold each other accountable. Do better.
everybody says, white America is tired of you, and we are too.
All right, so before you get offended or call him my Uncle Tom or something like that, ask yourself, why do black people get some money and their first plan is to get away from black people?
It's not to get away from black people. Black people have money. Who get money, they move into a higher income community. They move into a better community. And it's just because of the historical truths of this country that black people were restricted from building wealth for hundreds of years. And so white people who were given an advantage, they were given handouts, and they were also in the majority and were practicing racism, and so actively tried to black people and other minorities, but especially black people, from progressing. They had a head start, and so they have the majority of the wealth, and so they make up the majority of these higher income communities. But black people who get money, they don't care if their neighbors are black. They don't care if a black person gets money and they move into a community and they find out the guy who's living beside them is a dentist, a black dentist, and the guy down the street, he's a Nigerian doctor, and the other guy down the street, he's black, but he owns a successful barber shop. You think they give a fuck? In fact, they're happy. They're glad. I recently moved to a new neighborhood. It's a nice neighborhood. And when I see other, part of me was like, well, most of my neighbors are probably white. That's going to be interesting. And then I actually realized that I have a fair amount of black neighbors, and it made me happy. I was like, oh, this is good. This is nice. My children, they're going to see other children that look like them running around in the streets. That's nice. That's good. So it's not that you're trying to move away from black people. They're just trying to move out of poverty. That's it. That's all it is.
Why is that? This is why it's important for you to allow the video to play so context can be said. Because the analogy that I was using, or the situation that I was speaking on this part of the video, is a common thing that black people say to each other. Now, how you feel, my brother, is how you feel. I love living around black people too. But what I'm saying is a common thing that is said within the black community, maybe not in your part of the community, because again, you grew up fortunate And I'm not speaking down on that at all. I know a lot of times when we say that, oh, well, you're not from the hood, you know, we kind of throwing shade at somebody. No, I commend your parents for giving you a greater upbringing. But what I'm saying is a lot of people that have grew up in a different circumstance that don't get to live with the rich white people or don't get to live with the rich black people. They say things like, oh, this is a white neighborhood. Nah, it's a real safe neighborhood. Nah, you'll see white people walking their dogs. You hear people say this. Now, if you in your walk of life, you don't hear this, by all means, talk to more people. You get a perspective. But that's what I was speaking on. That. Like, have you ever sat around and asked yourself, like, why is that?
I just answered it.
And because I personally always think about that, like, dang, it's like our first goal as black people is to go somewhere. There's less black people, but then we get mad when other people don't really want to be around a whole bunch of black people. Now,
this nigga is so fucking lost, bro. What is this take?
this may be just my accountability trying to like figure it out in my head, because you know you're never offended when you ask yourself a question. It only becomes offensive when you put it on the internet and other people give their opinions on it. But you're allowed to question things yourself, you know that, right? You don't have to run with the narratives that everybody else is thinking. Crabs in a bucket mentality. I think the craziest thing about the hood and
but then we bash black women, single black women who are promiscuous and have children, and put those children in a situation where there isn't a father. Why does that matter? Oh, is it because the father can provide an experience, put that child in an environment that will then shape the outcome of that child? See, that's the thing. The people who speak like this, in one breath, oh, fatherlessness, this, fatherlessness, that, revealing that they see that your environment plays an and who is around you plays an incredibly pivotal role in shaping you as a person. But then people who grow up in a shitty environment, i.e. poor people, in this situation, poor black people, but it's the same for poor whites and poor Hispanics. We then talk about accountability. Wait. What happened to the importance of fatherlessness and the environment that they're raised in? And so you can't have both.
Brother, man, that is a whole nother conversation that you are completely right about. Yes. Fatherlessness. Yes, you're right, brother, man. But you're moving the goalpost of the conversation. The conversation is holding black people accountable for their culture. There's certain things that should not be normalized within the black culture. That has nothing to do with people being in less fortunate situations. No, brother, man. I'm talking about black people in general. Even people not having a father in their homes, that does not automatically make it to where you lose control of being able to have class. I have fatherless friends. My dad did not grow up with his dad. I know people that did not grow up with their dads and they still turned out well. So moving the goalposts on why people cannot act with class has something to do with, oh, it's because, you know, they're poor and it's poverty. Bro, I'm speaking to the broad majority. You're speaking to just the poor in the, you know, they're down and out and they're struggling and they're just going through such bad turmoil. That's the misunderstanding of people that grew up fortunate. And when I say fortunate, I mean away from the common black people. You think that all the other people that didn't grow up in your scenario grew up with no fathers, or they have a crackheaded mother, or their mom dropped out of 6th grade. No, bro, that's not the reality. Just because they didn't grow up rich didn't mean that they had to grow up in some type of turmoil. I'm holding people accountable.
You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm all for taking responsibility. Yeah, if you're black and you grew up in a poor environment and you got a terrible mindset and that led you to committing crimes, you got to go to prison. You broke the law. We have to be objective and uniform in how we exercise that. But as people who are in better circumstances, born into better situations and had better influences, we need to have some empathy when we look at people who grow up in a less fortunate situation.
Reason why I keep saying the hood is because I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and here in Atlanta, it's a lot of black excellence. Like, I'm around so many great black people like that are doing great things with their lives. My neighborhood is full of black people. I mean, men that work honest jobs. It's not a ratchet neighborhood. So I know that this is not an all black people thing. Like, all black people are not ghetto. All black people are not loud. But when I leave Atlanta and I'm just traveling through a city, I don't see any of my people until I go to the hood. And when I say the hood, I mean the low income areas. So the craziest part about the low income areas, they usually have the lowest rents in the city. And I've always thought about this. Just because the rents are low. Now, for you guys that's like, wait a minute, I thought you said you're not talking about the people in the hood. Now I'm talking to the people in the hood. This whole video is not everybody. It's not for the people that's in the hood. I would have named it Hood Fatigue. I'm now talking about people that's in the hood. That's this part right here. All right. Low, or there's low income in the area, does not mean this has to be a dangerous neighborhood. It can actually be cheap luxury if the people that are in the neighborhoods treated it as such. The only way to do that is for the people in the hood to hold each other accountable for what we're not doing around here. Just because it's cheap around here doesn't mean we have to follow a certain level of culture or character just because this is the cheap side of town. Somebody wants to point the finger at the white man, and by all means, I understand we definitely have been dealt a different hand. But at what point in time do we hold each other accountable? Because why is there some people that make it out of the hood that do—
All right, here's the thing. You don't hold nobody accountable until you start sitting down with some fatherless black children and teaching them their fucking ABCs. How about that?
That brother aggressive.
That's the solution. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on, I want to hear it again.
And teaching them. Don't hold nobody accountable until you start sitting down with some fatherless black children and teaching them their fucking ABCs. How about that?
So this man is under the impression that there's black children in the hood that don't know their ABCs. You really think that's the problem? So your interpretation of the hood is that there's black children in the hood that don't know their ABCs. Bro, I would just suggest you go walk through the hood and make some friends. Because while you're, I feel like he's kind of speaking from somewhere else. You know, like he's speaking from somewhere else, because I think for the majority of people in the comment section of my video that I made, and even the video he made, understands where I'm coming from. It's not a miseducated issue, because you have people with degrees that still don't know how to act. It is a cultural issue. But okay, let's go back to it.
That's the solution. You know what I'm saying? Start holding people accountable when you start to remedy the situation. Holding people accountable is not— you can lock every black person up in prison. It's not going to help, man. Every poor black person in prison, it's not going to help. The only thing that will help is empowerment. Right? My people perish for a lack of knowledge. People don't understand the power that they have as a human being.
And this is where we agree. Say, I just hit a you on you. I'm going to pause you before you get a context of what you just said. That is exactly where we agree. They lack knowledge. Empower them, which is why I'm making this video. You know what I mean? I'm able to touch— I think this video may have touched a little bit over 20,000 views. I was able to touch 20,000 viewers. My just due is bringing the awareness by using my platform. Me going to my local hood and teaching a black kid something, yeah, by all means. I mean, even if and when I do it, I'm not going to come online and speak about it. The portion that I'm doing right here in this video is shedding light on a change that needs to be had. Just like you said, empowering people for letting them know that they are better than what they just hear in the rap videos. They are better than what society tells them they have to be. That's what my video's for.
2% of the prison population has a college degree, guys. It's not about culture. It's about education. It's about knowledge. Knowledge is power. It's that simple.
something great with themselves, but then there's other people that are in the hood that is still pointing the finger saying, yeah, but them. The reason why I'm going through this is because somebody else has control over my circumstance, but somebody in your same circumstance was able to make it out of it. So while we can argue and say, yes, there are system issues, but what needs to be fixed are the cultural issues as well. And that starts with accountability. See, the word fatigue is more so saying I'm tired. It's not saying I don't love you anymore. It's kind of like having two kids. One kid is always bringing home good grades. The other kid is always getting phone calls called home from the teacher. You're fatigued character of that second kid. I want you to get your act together. And it's not about you guys being in the hood. It's not about people being in the hood. I still have family in the hood. And so it's not about I'm looking down upon those that are in the hood. No, I'm looking down upon the people that have bad character that is still in the hood, or the people that have bad character that's just in culture. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I moved to Georgia. So right there, all right, I just want to be clear on what I meant by what I just said, because I actually I try to fix my words because I was talking so fast. But what I'm speaking towards is just black people in general that have this mindset of how acting black is, whether you're in the hood or you're out the hood and you're just, you're just outside, whatever. It's just a common understanding of what acting black is. And if you don't know who these people are, if you don't know what acting black is to most people, then I'm probably not even speaking to you. You probably have not been around the culture that I'm speaking towards for you to understand who I'm speaking to. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't get that. But there is a group of black people that I'm speaking towards, which is not all black people. Back in 2011, 2010, and I wasn't living in the hood, but I was around more black people than I was when I was in New York. And I realized it's a cultural thing. So it's not so much about the placement of the people, it's fixing the understanding of what being black is. For too many people, they see being black as what they see in the music videos. They follow their favorite rapper instead of looking up to their black mayor or their black lawyers in the neighborhood. Because what is publicized is our rappers, our crime. And then we rap and talk about the crime. Now somebody will say, yeah, but the white man is the one that's promoting that music. Yeah, but we're the ones that's listening to that music. We don't live in a day and time.
Everybody's fucking listening to this music, bro. Have you ever been to a concert that is being performed by one of these black gangster rappers? It's mostly white people in the crowd. So how is it that they can enjoy black entertainment? They can enjoy black music, black movies. They even dress and walk and talk like black people, and yet they don't fall into the same trap. Well, that's because they are raised differently. They are given different opportunities in regards to
the reason why it's okay for them to do it. Even though I'm trying to get away from talking about other cultures, because this ain't about them. It's about us. Pay attention to what you just seen in that video. He showed the crowd was a crowd of white people and Pop Smoke was on stage and they were all jamming to his music. They're glorifying the ignorance that's being played on a beat. But it's not in reverse. We're not in the crowd glorifying the white ignorance. The difference is that the group of black people I'm talking about, they try to act out the music that they hear, while the white people are jumping to the music. The difference is we are getting glorified for being ignorant. We are also glorifying our ignorance. If you want to bring white people into it, they're glorifying our ignorance.
Education, they're in a completely different environment, and most importantly, they have a completely different self-image. From a young age, on a subconscious level, they are being told that they can be anything, or at the very least, they can be something good and great. A lot of these black kids, they're not being given that. How many black kids from the hood can tell you a story about how the fact they've never...
Imagine growing up here, born to poor, uneducated parents, who exactly is going to show you how to pull yourself up. People, I don't know if y'all have black friends, whoever's watching me. Some of y'all black, some of y'all not black. But this is not the majority. Like, this is not the world of black people right here. This is not what we see. Like, you know how they try to paint like a picture of what Africa really looks like? You know, they're always, oh, if you want to feed one starving African, you know, you got to do is donate $1. Then they show some starving African kid sitting in some sand or dirt or whatever. Africa's actually beautiful. So basically what I'm getting at is, this is not all black people right here. This is not black people's world right here. I had a point in this video when I was speaking towards the hood, but this is not the world of black people. Please do not think that this is why black people cannot act with class. This is why black people have to make excuses and can't grow from their circumstance. Because even the people that are here, they're not a monolith. They're not all the same. There are people that make choices within this system. Does the system fall on certain people? Yes. But I'm speaking towards the people that have a choice. Don't choose to act like where you come from. That is a choice.
Ever heard their mother, or they don't know their father, and they've never heard like someone they really care about say, I love.
Teaching is a skill, yet we expect untrained and uneducated people to help their children with school. The internet is free. You don't even need college to have wisdom nowadays. You don't even need school at all to learn anything. Kids learning off of Miss Rachel at this point. That's not what I'm saying that kids should be doing. My point is, there's a way. But for some people, you have to remind them that there's a way, which is why I make my videos, to remind you that you have control. Don't believe that your environment is controlling you. You can control your environment. Life is all about perspective and what you want to bring out of it, what you want to pull out of it.
I love you, and I care about you, and I want the best for you. You know,
imagine growing up hearing gunshots every night. Imagine attending more funerals than birthday parties as a child. That is not all black people. I mean, that is a hard way to live. Don't get me wrong. That is a hard way to live. Very hard. But that is not all black people. That's not even most black people. Gunshots every night? Bro, there's ignorant. Like I said in my video, when I moved to Georgia, I was living in a big house, nice suburban neighborhood. But the culture was to act a certain type of way. Now, it wasn't no gunshots in my neighborhood. Even though, you know, I see, you know, dudes that I went to high school with, I still see them nowadays and they try to act like we from the trenches. I'm like, bro, you done lied to yourself. I came from New York to Georgia, a nice part of Georgia. Actually, my high school I went to, his name is Lovejoy. And you guys are trying to act tough? It has nothing to do.
I'm saying they're being filled with all of this negative emotion and this negative perception of themselves and the world around them and the people around them. And they're told, they're indoctrinated with the idea that life is hard and difficult and against them. And then someone comes around and says, hey, I can show you how to have nicer things in life. You just got to sell a little bit of this to this person over there. And if you don't sell it to them, guess what? They're going to buy it from someone else anyway. What's it to you? What's the difference if they're buying it from you versus somebody else? If they buy it from you, you get to put a little money in your pocket. You can help your mom out. All right. And so it's a negative feedback loop. It is a cycle. And the only way that the cycle can be broken is if these people are awoken. Their minds are open. They're given a new perspective. Someone needs to go and hold their hand.
Brother, we live in an age of social media. Social media is one of the most powerful tools that is out there. Trending topics, viral videos is one of the most popular things. This is why artists are becoming artists nowadays. Some of our biggest influences are coming from video form, social media nowadays, podcast form. Doing what I'm doing can give somebody a perspective shift. So when you ask, well, what are you doing? Well, how are you helping? How is this helping? It's changing perspective. See, me and this brother, we actually see it the same way. But I think that he has faced a lot of like actual Uncle Toms to the point where he hears this topic, it automatically triggers something, which is why I'm not mad at him at all. Because I know for a lot of people, you may get triggered by a topic like this when you don't really give it a time to, okay, I kind of see what he's saying.
And show them a different way.
Where we are forced to think a certain type of way. We can wake up and say, wait a minute, I'm not going to keep playing the same game that has been getting played on me. At any moment, we can wake up and say that. But that takes a level of accountability for us to look at our fellow man and say, yo, we're not doing that over here. We're not rapping about stuff like that. Anytime I listen to a song and it's talking about killing niggas and stuff like that, I'm like, why are we talking about hurting each other? I don't get that. Like, I see black people, I see that as we playing on the same team. So why are we sitting here talking about how we're going to steal the basketball from our teammate? Why are we talking about how we're going to tackle our teammate? Why are we sitting here talking about how we want to take out our teammate? Not saying we should try to do that to anybody else, but why? If you're gonna do it, why are you talking about doing it to people that look just like you? When I see people protesting about police brutality, and I completely get it, a lot of these situations are sad, but you know what situations are a lot sadder? The situations that I see these black brothers committing against other black brothers. Because believe it or not, that happens.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and this is the fucking play that people under the mind control of white supremacy do, unfortunately. They always try to make it seem as if the rappers who are talking about killing their enemy, killing their ops, and when you hear in the news about, oh, a black man got shot by another black man, these people, conservatives, Uncle Toms, and just people in general, a lot of times immigrants who are under the brainwashing of white supremacy, they always frame it as if the black people are killing other black people because they're black. It has nothing to do with their blackness. It's all about proximity. So when you try to make it about race, they're not making it about race. That's it. The guy in the hood who shoots the other guy isn't shooting him because he's black.
Let's use an example. When you listen to a rap song, what do you hear? Do you hear people talking about, oh, I'm going to kill somebody in another culture? Or do you hear, I'm going to kill me a nigga? I'm going to shoot me a nigga. Wait till I see that nigga. This has nothing to do with proximity. This is how black people see other black people. So which one do you hear more? I'm gonna kill me a nigga, or I'm gonna hurt somebody in another culture? Which one do you hear more? So are we blaming popularized killings of black on black crimes on proximity? It's because niggas is close to niggas. I mean, it makes sense, but is that not also the popular thing to do for black people to kill black people?
He would just kill his whole family, wouldn't he? The guy in the hood who shoots the other guy isn't shooting him because he's black. Otherwise, he would just kill his whole family, wouldn't he? Right? No, he's shooting him. He doesn't see a black man. He sees another person. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of these people, they don't even interact with people of other races. It's not like they're isolating the black person. That's the only person around them, and that's what all people do. You know where we don't have this conversation? True. China, Japan, white nations, Ireland. Where murder happens all the time, by the way. People kill each other, kill one another all the time in those places. But it's never about, Japanese on Japanese crime, Chinese on Chinese crime, Irish on Irish crime.
He's right.
Because, of course, that's what happens over there. And it's because that's all that's there. And so when, people try to...
Once again... But coach, they're bad at rebounding over there. Why do we have to improve our rebounding? Why are we talking about rebounding? Why are we talking about improving our game, coach? If people are doing bad over there too, why we don't ever talk about what the Celtics is doing? I know we the Timberwolves, but why we don't ever talk about what the Celtics is doing? Why we always trying to do better? Why? What's the point? You making it seem like we the only ones that do it. This is the same thing that he's saying right now. That's exactly how he sounds. Why are y'all talking about improving when other people do bad too?
Frame this like putting this in the same conversation as police brutality. It's disingenuous. It's misinformed.
It's a lot more than police brutality, if we're gonna be honest. But as long as that crime is put on a beat, it's cool. We'll turn the blind eye to it. That's the accountability that I think black people are tired of. It's not that we're looking down on our fellow
man. It ain't about turning a blind eye on it. What are you doing about it? What are you going to do about it? It's about the fact that the resources and the effort that needs to be done in order to reform these lower income black communities and change them in the kind of way that you want to see change to get a different result, it will require a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of people, and a fuck ton of money. That's the reality of it.
And this is why in the beginning of the video I said, in my video, the hood does not have to be ghetto. And when I say ghetto, I mean people don't have to act ghetto. It doesn't have to be dirty if the people in it knew how to treat it. And he asked me, what am I doing about it, right? Like, who am I, you know? I'm making this video, bro. I'm shedding light on it. See, I know some people make videos just for content, but I like to make my videos to spark something in people's brains. Because you may be that kid that's in the hood that's watching my videos. And you're like, you know what? I can be myself. I don't have to be what everybody else is telling me I have to be because I'm a black boy. Or I don't have to be twerking just because I'm a black girl. That's the purpose of me making my videos. That's me. That's what I'm doing. But to act like all of this is just blamed on just poverty. Okay, well, let's say it is. Let's fix the impoverished mindset. It's just that we're saying, get up. Stop saying that talking proper is talking white. To say talking proper is to talk white is to say that to talk black is to not talk right. Like anytime somebody enhances their vernacular, now they're trying to talk white. Now they're whitewashed. But nobody else is saying that but us. To ourselves.
That's not true. White people say that shit all the time. White people say that shit all the time. They said that shit about me. You know what I'm saying? Because I grew up in a very blessed situation. I got to go to very good schools from a very young age. I was reading many books since I was a young man, and I've been able to develop a decent vocabulary and know how to articulate myself. Now, I also know how to speak the lingo. You know what I'm saying? If I'm around in a different environment, but I can speak all proper and all that with good syntax and grammar and all that. And white people have told me that I speak white. I'm an Oreo. You're one of the whitest black people I've ever met. All because I speak with good grammar. So that's a lie. That's not true that only black people say that. In fact, I would go as far as to suggest that it probably started with white people. White people were probably the first people to identify a well-spoken black man and make that comparison. Oh, he speaks just like a white man. In fact, we have historical evidence of that. There is this black slave girl who wrote beautiful poetry. This would have been maybe in the 1700s. Beautiful poetry. And people didn't believe that she was writing it. I can't recall her name right now. Let me look it up. Yes, 1773, Phyllis Wheatley. Okay, now look at what white people said about her. Many people, particularly colonial printers and some prominent figures like Thomas fucking Jefferson, doubted that Phyllis Wheatley, an enslaved black woman, was capable of writing the sophisticated poetry attributed to her. Printers in Boston initially refused to publish her poems, believing that an enslaved African could not produce such poetry. And so this idea...
I was wrong. I was wrong, y'all. It's not just black people. It's not only black people that's saying that you're whitewashed if you talk proper. I was wrong. I was wrong in saying that. It's not only. He's right.
Yeah, oh, a black person talking white, writing white. It began with white.
Other people say it too.
People.
He's right.
And like so many of the bad habits that are picked up by the minority communities, it was inherited from the more powerful majority community.
Holding us back.
This.
My question to him would be, how do we unlearn those bad habits if we don't shed light on the bad habits that was taught to us by the other community? If we're not talking about it, because we just, you know, we understand that people are growing up crackheaded moms and they're growing up in the street and it's dirty outside. So, you know, like they have no control over their circumstance. In other words, how do we help people unlearn what they think to be the truth without shedding light on that being wrong?
This is a guy who means well. And I can acknowledge I used to be like this guy. It's embarrassing to say, but he simply just isn't educated. That's just what it is.
He said I'm not educated. Y'all hear that, brother? Maybe I can't see. You done called your brother uneducated. It's all right. You know, you only know what you know. From the growth that our culture really needs, but instead we rather be offended.
Black fatigue. There's a growing sentiment, most recently, of individuals who are proclaiming they do have black fatigue. And you don't have to be a non-black person to have black fatigue. What does that phrase actually mean? Essentially, black fatigue is a growing weariness of the actions of the quote-unquote black community. But it goes deeper than that, because we are in 2025 now, and we are being judged based on the content of our character and not the color of our skin. But the interesting part is, the lie that's been sold to the black community in particular is that the color of our... That's why in the black community, sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, you are acting white, when they're talking to someone like myself who doesn't act the way most people would expect a conventional black person to act. In their minds, there is a correct way to act black. And the people in your ethnic group who fulfill those very negative stereotypes, those are the ones who are going to essentially drag down the collective whole. And that's why they're fatigue, because
there is no dragging down the collective whole. Your experience of reality is completely determined by your mindset. Point blank, period.
See how damaging it is to see the
This
worst.
is just a narrative that is used to bring down black people and bring down the black community and for the black community to cannibalize itself.
Of us attract all this negative attention.
And poor whites don't bring down the white community. Ain't that interesting?
Unfortunately gets ascribed to the entire race all too often. But what's unfortunate is here in...
By who though? By who?
25. Now we have to contend with the fact that there's people who are so sick and tired of seeing those negative aspects, those negative individuals in the black community attracting all this attention. That's what is spurring this black fatigue.
Here's where black people really lose me, because we use our voice when it's done to us by other races, but we're extremely quiet. Actually, we're not quiet, because a lot of the black on black deaths are in songs. They're glorified. Like, it's become so common that just yesterday I'm scrolling on Instagram or I'm scrolling on Twitter and I see some black rapper from whatever state just got killed by another black kid. And you know what I did? I looked at it and I kept scrolling. You know why? Because it's so common. But as soon as that other person with the gun becomes a police officer or somebody of another race, that's where we draw the line. And by all means, both situations...
They're completely different. That's like if I get in an argument with you, this guy on the screen, and I just don't fuck with you. I just don't like you. And we get into an argument, we have a problem, and then it gets confrontational. That is completely different. That's all that's happening between the two rappers. It has nothing to do with the fact that one's black and the other one isn't. It is a function of racism when it is a function of a person being mistreated merely because they are black. That is a problem. And that is a problem because black people did not choose to come to America. Black Americans, especially black Americans that are descendants of slaves, are the only people on this piece of land who were forced to be here against their will. They have no motherland. They have no homeland they can return to. They have no connection to it. And there's some black Americans, FBA people, who make the argument that, in fact, some of the black people can trace their lineage to being essentially native to the land in the same way many Native Americans are native to the land. Now, I'm not that educated on that aspect of it, so I'm not going to say one way or another whether that's true or not. But regardless, Black people are here as a result of their ancestors being brought here against their will. And so at the very least, they deserve to be treated the same as everybody else by the law. That's simple. It's that simple.
Situations of disgust. What he just said is very true. Black people deserve to be treated right. That we do not deserve to be executed because of the color of our skin. We don't. But the point of the matter is, why don't we ever protest black on black killings? That's my question. We have a very loud voice. We should have a voice for the Black Lives Matter and the police brutality. We have a voice over there. But why are we so quiet with these? Even if they're not on the same playing field, neither of them should happen. One of them happened too often. But why don't we have any type of energy for it? Why is it like we just turn the blind eye to it? Why is it that we get to sing to that stuff? While what you're saying is very true, brother. What I'm saying is, why are we so quiet over here, though? Justin, neither of them should happen, but we need to have the same energy when it's happening amongst our people as well. But let's get off of death real quick. Even when we talk about class, one thing I had to learn as I grew up is that it's okay to feel emotions. Emotions are actually normal. So when you're in a situation and you feel angry, that's a normal feeling. When you're in a situation you feel sad, that is a normal feeling. When you feel happy, that is a normal feeling to being a human being. But how you go about your feelings, how you go about your emotions says a lot about your maturity. And for a lot of people, especially in the black culture, we lead with emotions instead of logic, instead of vocabulary. You know, when you're at work and you really want to go.
That's everybody. That's every. Go to a white bar, bro, and watch them get drunk and get into fights. Everybody does this. Every group has people that are, it's a spectrum of emotional intelligence. And is it true that you can find this, especially in lower income areas? For sure. Of course, whites, blacks, Hispanics, Asians, it's all the same. When people do not have the knowledge, they aren't equipped with the knowledge and the maturity and all of that, then yeah, that's how they're going to behave. It's not rocket science.
Not rocket science at all. That brother's right. Which is why we are speaking towards it. To give people that don't have the knowledge on how to act, we're now telling them that, hey, you're acting wrong. Because the loud people are very wrong, while the quiet people are right. Or the right people are quiet. But once again, everybody else does it, so why can't we do it? Coach, do I have to do it again? The Celtics suck at rebounding. Why we got to improve in rebounding? Who's talking about these other coaches? The point is not to sit here and shit on black people. So excuse my French. I've been doing real good without cursing. It's not to ish on black people, but it's to shed light on a subset of black people, telling them, yo, in case you don't know, you need to get your act together. Educated, uneducated, you need to get your act together. These are the type of black people, the different scenarios I spoke on in this video that we want to see you act different or act better. At least that's how I feel. That's the whole point of this whole trend, this black fatigue trend. Go off on somebody, so you got to kind of tailor your email in a way that's like nasty nice, but you got to really use your words. So now you're asking other people like, yo, how does this sound? People don't do that in real life, but they should. But instead, we have a lot of black people that rather go to the extent of being loud, being outright, making a scene, killing all credibility on whether or not you. Pay attention to how I said there's a lot of black people. I didn't say all black people. There's a big difference between a lot of and all. Was even right to begin with. Again, this is a cultural thing that we need to change. Now, somebody may be saying, yeah, but other cultures do this too. We don't have to do what other cultures are doing. You do not become better by comparing yourself to worse. Instead,
yeah, but then why is it that we're the only group that does this fucking weird shit, man? You don't have a bunch of white people making videos about poor whites and rednecks. You don't have a bunch of well-off, wealthy, highly educated Hispanics and Indians talking down on poor Hispanics and Indians. At least not.
You know what else we don't have? We don't have a whole bunch of Indians making music talking about killing Indians, and it's popular in America. You know what else we don't have in America? You turn on your radio and white people are talking about killing white people on the radio. You know what else we don't have? We don't have Mexicans talking about killing Mexicans in America on the radio. But once again, why do we keep talking about other people just because they're not doing it? Just because they're not having a huddle, bringing their team together and say, look, man, you're holding us back. Okay, you're holding the team back. Just because other teams aren't doing that, that means that we shouldn't do that? Even though it's for the betterment of our team to improve? It's so easy to be like, well, they're doing it, so why can't we? What growth is in that? When you compare yourself to somebody else's shortcoming, it just makes you feel more comfortable in your shortcoming.
In this way, maybe they do it behind closed doors. You know, like, I can't fucking stand those loud ass blah, 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 blah. You know, but they don't get up on YouTube and make videos like this. You know what I'm saying? This has become an entire industry. And it doesn't.
I wonder for people like him. I'm sorry I keep cutting him off. I apologize because I was saying how I didn't like how he was cutting me off. But I just, when ideas pop in my head, I got to speak on them. Just listen. When people have this type of outrage for people speaking against the stuff that holds back black culture, I just wonder, do you have the same outrage for people that promote what holds back black culture, such as the music, such as the Sexy Reds? Do you have the same energy? And he may have that energy. I'm just speaking in general. Do you have that same energy for somebody that's saying that, yo, I would rather us not talk about killing each other? Do you have the same energy when people are killing each other?
And help. You see, if it at least helped, if you could provide me any evidence that a single video like this has helped to reform and improve the poor black community, then I would say, shit, fuck it.
The poor black,
you know what I'm saying? So medicine is bitter. But how is this going to help? All this does is breed a sense of superiority and self-righteousness in black people who are fortunate enough to grow up in a different situation, in a different environment where they didn't end up like their poorer counterparts. And it then
Malcolm X, Nelson Mandela, all of these great people from the past, their words still live till today, telling black people that we do not have to act like this. We can act like this. It is in all of the history books that have black history in it. Any black book you pick up, they're talking about the degeneracy in the black culture and how we don't have to act. So now this, what you're watching, brother man, is the 2025 version of that in the past. It's just that now we make videos on it. We hope that these videos go out. Even if I saved 5 people from this video, 5 people opened up their eyes and was able to see life in a different perspective, which is what we do on YouTube. I would hope that's enough. I watch YouTube videos all the time and my perspective gets shifted. That's the only reason why I like YouTube. It's because you can sit in the room with somebody that's smarter than you. And I'm not just saying I'm smarter than any, but somebody that has a different perspective, without actually sitting in the room with that person.
And emboldens and gives white people the permission to completely excuse themselves of the responsibility that, I won't say it belongs to them, because if you are fortunate and you were born white in America to, you know, a relatively wealthy family, and I mean relative wealth, comparing the situation you grew up in a suburban area to a 2-parent household, comparing yourself to a poor black person who was born to a crackhead mother and a father, a missing father, or an imprisoned father. That baby didn't choose to be born into that family, no more or less than you chose to be born to your parents. It's like it gives white people permission to say, okay.
Did y'all just hear how he just explained, like, black people? Like, bro, that's not the common black folk, bro. Most black people do not have crackheaded mamas. Our moms is not crackheads, bro. You know what I mean? Like, all of our dads ain't in jail. That's not everybody. Like, if you grew up in just a treacherous situation, by all means, I sympathize with you. I still say seek better in life if you can. But we're speaking towards the black culture. What is expected from black culture? You know what I mean? Like, what it means to be black. That's what we're speaking about, bro. We're not speaking about people with crack-headed moms and growing up with trash outside of their house and gunshots every night.
Let's forget the historical implications. Let's forget the historical factors that led to this situation. We have no responsibility. There's nothing at all we need to do to help bring these people up out of the financial hole they found themselves in.
All right. So with what he just said, that white people, you know, we're basically taking accountability away from white people. I know how long we've been asking white people to give us what we deserve. Should they do it? Yes. Now, I mean, 40 acres and a mule. Give it all to us. Should they? Have they? No. So do we sit back and say, well, they haven't given it to us yet? Or do we take the control and say, you know what? We got to figure it out amongst ourselves for our children, for generations to come underneath our name, with our last names. We have to figure it out because they're not going to give it to us. So with all due respect to white people, once again, this video is not about y'all. How y'all feel about what I'm talking about has nothing to do with me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or us. How y'all take it, if you don't want to take accountability, whatever. Like, this does not have to do with white people, Mexicans, Jewish, nobody. This is black people talking to black people and saying, let's hold each other accountable. Let's stop asking for help. You know what I mean? Or let's stop like blaming our shortcomings on other people. Let's now try to fix us. Because clearly the help ain't coming. The helicopter ain't coming. The boat's not coming. Let's hold each other accountable. Let's fix us.
Oh, out of the cultural abyss that has developed because we shoved them into ghettos and we prevented them from reading and we prevented them from going to good schools and we prevented them from operating in certain industries and we prevented them from getting access to certain loans and mortgages and we prevented them from taking part in the Homestead Act and getting massive amounts of free land and we prevented, let's forget that our ancestors did all that fucked up shit that led to the black ghetto and the black poverty. And just, say this shit. Take some accountability. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. That's all this is doing. But you show me how these videos help. They don't.
You grow from accountability, because remember this, what we don't hold accountable, the kids will repeat and ignorance will grow.
The woman who called a 5-year-old a racial slur. My first impression after watching the video, a little bit of white trash. I have to be honest, the kid was 5. I have worked with 5-year-olds for the last 15 years. Absolutely everything they do is out of pocket. They're like little unhinged drunk people. Nothing they do makes sense. A 5-year-old is capable of rifling through somebody's bag and taking things that don't belong.
And apparently the kid was autistic. Let's not forget that. In fact, let me fact check that. Let me make sure. Yes, according to multiple sources, the 5-year-old black child who was the target of a racist slur in Rochester, Minnesota, is autistic.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
That's
how
crazy.
about that?
To them.
So that woman should have been able, well, she was too fucking stupid to realize the kid had a learning disability. Because I can look at a child who has a learning disability and identify it very quickly. So what is the excuse here? Let's hear it.
Any kindergarten teacher. But I realize why so many people are wanting to defend this, because black fatigue is real. I think society as a whole is there. We are just so unbelievably fed up with the ghetto ratchet behavior, entitlement, the victimhood, that they want to praise this woman. But what she did is not praiseworthy. But also on the same hand, please remember that every day that...
So how does this apply? The kid, it was an autistic child who saw an item and was curious. Right? And did something no differently than any other child. That's what little kids do. They see something and they want it and they go grab it. Even worse when the kid is autistic. So what does black fatigue have to do with the situation? Nothing. The fact that
that has nothing to do with it.
She's defending this racist white woman who had no justification for doing or acting the way that she did by just saying there are obnoxious ghetto black people that exist. That's the justification. So can we now start mistreating white children and say, well, school shooters, most school shooters are white, dude. Most school shooters are white. Yeah, but what that got to do with this white kid over here? How are the two related? Just because he's white? And this argument actually makes sense to some black people. Man.
Nah,
here's the secret, guys. The reality that you experience can be completely determined by you having a positive outlook on yourself and on the world around you. You don't need to suck up to white people. You don't need to pander to white people. You don't have to adopt white culture. You don't have to do any of that. You can be unapologetically yourself. You can embrace black culture. And you can still live an amazing, empowered life. That's the truth. That's the reality.
Y'all know what black culture is to me. And when I say black culture, I'm more so speaking on like some of the things we do that other people don't do. Like our barbecues. Like our barbecues be lit. You know, like the foods that we eat, you know, the dances that we do, you know, like this is all part of our culture. And I say that and I smile inside when I think about it. What I'm speaking towards is not us acting white. Once again, he's proving my point. I'm not asking nobody to act white.
Us white people get on this app, we get called racial slurs every single day. So if you don't want to be called a racial slur, you also have to stop calling people racial slurs.
Huh?
Yeah, that lady, she was bugging.
So because some people call some white people names, it's okay for this white woman to call a black autistic kid the N-word?
You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth. But for the love of God, please leave the children out of it. Adults are stupid. They're going to do stupid things. But you're a different level of stupid when you bring kids into it. Thanks for coming to my
So basically what this woman is saying is that two things could be true at the same time. And I said this the other day when this whole situation first broke out. And then we had the panel on Monday night where I basically said that white people are starting to get fed up. And that is the whole premise behind black fatigue. Is that nobody wants you to continue to play victim for the rest of your life. They tired of being held accountable for things.
I know I put this part in my video, but I don't know if y'all seen what I said after this clip, but I could say it verbatim because I think he cut that part out. This ain't about how white people feel. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to tell black people, hey, we got to act better so white people can accept us. That's not what I'm saying. You know, and that's no shot at white people. What I'm just telling you is that black people need to act better. Need to get their act right. And these are the things that need to be changed. That has nothing to do about how white people feel.
That their ancestors did. They tired of you blaming all of your failures and the things that you weren't able to accomplish on white people. They're tired of you sitting there saying that you're a victim every single day, regardless that you're making every single day.
She'll be watching.
How is this bitch being held accountable for anything? What has she done? What has she been forced to do? What, the fact that a portion of her taxes go to welfare? The grand majority of welfare recipients are white. What are we talking about here? It's like, wait a second. What are we doing? What are we doing here? How is her life being inconvenienced by, some ghetto black person? What is the issue here? This is just bullshit. That's all this is. This is just white people crying because I don't even fucking know. Because everybody wants some shit to play the victim about. Everybody likes to cry about some shit. Most people, I should say. You feel me? I'm just calling out bullshit as I see it. I got nothing to cry about. My life is amazing. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like nothing can hold me back because I am the master of my reality. So,
wow. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait. You mean to tell me that, like, we individually could be the masters of our reality no matter the circumstance? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that we can control the reality that we decide to live in? Is that what we're saying? It's crazy how you understand that now, brother. But you sat here and made every black person that speaks with ebonics or is loud or you know, just lives in a ratchet way. you sat here and made all their moms crackheads and put their dads in jail.
What is exactly the issue here? This is just racism, guys. This is just black people just looking for a reason to shit on black people. That's all this is. And it's unfortunate that black people feel like they need to participate in this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to make a video like this, you know, about if Charlie Kirk says some fucking bullshit. Because of course he's going to. Of course, that's what's going to come from that side of the camp, that side of the field, bro. You know, it's unfortunate when you see black people participating. But in the same way how I, as an immigrant, was ignorant and then further brainwashed and influenced by Christianity, I was able to have my eyes open to the truth. There is still hope for various black people. But for some of these people, bro, they really just doing it for the money. They're just doing it for the easy money and the...
Wait a minute. So this brother is not even like black American. Like, and I'm saying this respectfully, but bro, you grew up in a great situation. You're not even from America, or your parents ain't from America, and you're speaking towards the subset of black people that I'm talking about that you don't even understand or have even been close to by the way you're speaking. This conversation, I don't think was a conversation for you, but for you not to understand the perspective and the common understanding that I'm talking about or us black people have is very understood now to know that you're not from here.
And I'm saying that's it. There is no hope. But you can't never count a brother out, because at the end of the day, these black people can say whatever the fuck they want to say, bro. At the end of the day, you're still black. You're still black. You know what I'm saying?
Black.
And that will always, because the black experience is unique in America, there's always that bridge.
All right, y'all. So I'm going to end the video there. I want y'all to comment below. If you think I'm wrong, by all means, you could comment below and say where I'm wrong. You know, I'm all for that. I think my biggest gripe with this video, because while I love debates, I just feel like when you start, you know, name calling and Uncle Tom, and, you know, you can do whatever you want to do. You're a grown man. That's when it's like, all right, let me go ahead and make a video talking about this.